Good morning, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoble, and you were on the lifeboat. Sorry, that was for a friend. Good morning. Hope everybody's having a good one. So, tell me that's not the greatest thumbnail ever. I mean, heard any good rumors lately? Gig. So, rumor has it that Captain Tommy may have brought his psychopathic brother into Arizona and picked him up at the airport, and he is sleeping in, as I'm the only person in the side of the country that gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning. If you knew, what an interesting couple of days. Sharon, good to see you. Don't let the dog-sized pig rats get your pumpkins. Well, my goodness, that doesn't sound like fun. I don't want anything that size near my pumpkins. Candy's Life, good to see you. Diana M, glad that you're here. Scooby. Scoob, long time no see. Charlie Murphy, Tim. Sorry, haven't had a chance to do this in a minute. Right? Been mixing yous. Nancy Ives, good morning to you too. CK. Charlie. Oh, was that a Charlie typo? Sure, when I do them, everyone knows. You sent me a meme via email. Well, I'm on it. I will see it shortly, I assure you. And thank you. I appreciate that. So let me tell you what's going on. Traditionally, when my brother Johnny comes to town, there is we usually shoot a lot of videos, so there's usually more content than I normally put up. And this is probably going to be one of those situations. More often than not, if you're new to the lifeboat, well, when my brother Johnny comes to town, it kind of like, I don't know what the right word is, devolves. We kind of devolve into something that that resembles jackass a little bit. We end up doing stupid challenges and eating food that none of you would ever even want to be in the same room with, much less actually chew it up and have to swallow it. I just strumming a little bit in the back of my throat. I really did. True story. Hey, Russ, what's going on with you, brother? After 10 minutes, I fizzle out in the chat. It goes so fast. You know what? I'm so sorry about that. Here's the deal, people. I can slow this down. I can slow the chat down. Now, this is what's going to happen. It's going to say crap like, once you hit send, you're not going to be able to send the next message for whatever the increment is. I think they go in 10-second increments, right? So you're going to have to wait 10 seconds before you can respond or send another comment. I hate doing that because, I mean, I really need to do it at night because we get a much larger crowd and it's a bunch of people who are all talking to one another. But the in the morning show, it's, you feel like you're hamstringing some of the crew by making it very, very difficult to to go quickly, to respond to people. So I'm sorry. I do want it to be slow. I kind of wish it was a little slower, CK. And the reason is I'm getting old, right? There was a time in my life where like if I was working on stage, I would forget what I was talking about. And then I could just sort of tap dance for a little while until I could remember what I was talking about, would come back. So you just sort of, hang out there saying words and phrases that don't really mean anything until you sort of pick up that thread. Well, it doesn't work the same way when you get old. It's just a little bit tougher. Your brain doesn't work as fast as it used to. And this is the bane of existence to people who were public speakers when they were young and then became old. It just gets a little bit more difficult. And then if there's anything else in your life that maybe distracts you, that can cause all kinds of problems too. And there have just been a ton of distractions, the way the boat's been growing and everything else. So not making excuses, but it's been a very unusual couple of weeks, right? Malaki Richardson, good to see you. I am so worn out, but I'm all right. You know what's really funny? I feel worn out. I really do. And I'm older than you this year on Medicare. Well, good for you. Uh, I'm almost there. I promise you, I'm almost there. Kathy is on the treadmill. No, Valerie lives on the treadmill, I believe. Well, Russ, I'm going to reach out to you today, probably in the afternoon, and maybe talk about when we come on here and do the next one for Night Yard. Think I think we might be doing that tonight. I think we might be doing that tonight. I just got to check with. I got a couple of people that I kind of promised that I should have been doing things with that I haven't because of. Good for you, quiet girl. She said the cut down's been a breeze. You know, put that up there because people will forget this later. And all right, she says, Tommy, this cut down has been a breeze. 0.25 milligrams. She is talking about a drug called clonazepam, right? Which is Klonopin. As far as benzodiazepines go, it's one of the much stronger ones on the market. There are other ones you can get that are ridiculous. They're a little harder to find, but they don't write prescriptions for them usually. They're usually like black market benzos, but that's a strong one. And you cannot quit benzos cold turkey. Everybody, listen up, please. Doesn't matter how many times I say this, and I know that you all are probably. Yeah, I'm going to keep saying it, right? I wonder, I have spent enough time on this boat to know that if I don't say something and then I get an email saying that someone passed, then it takes me a month, to try to just make it so that I can start having normal thoughts again, right? Ants will beat the crap out of you if you think you had a hand in not saving somebody, right? That's what it is. And I know I don't save anybody anyway. We really don't. What we do is we tell everybody we bring everybody to a place where everybody can talk about what they know they already have to do anyway, right? I'm just another drug addict like every one of you. You're being put on sertraline. No idea, is that good or bad? Okay, full of hope, I will tell you my opinion. Now, I am not a doctor, right? I am not a doctor, full of hope, but here is what I will tell you. Off the top of my head, sertraline is going to be the generic for a drug called Zoloft. In our country, it is marketed under the name brand Zoloft, and the chemical name is sertraline. And it's actually, they've had a ton of success with this with a lot of people. But with anything like that, with anything you're going to start taking for your dome, and I'm not a doctor, I don't play one on TV, I don't play one on the internet, I'm not giving you medical advice, right? But the only medical advice I give is be an advocate for yourself and talk to your doctor, right? Beat the heck out of that whole communication thing with your doctor. It's really, really important. And you know what? This is going to sound rotten, but it's the truth. And if you've got a significant other, why don't you bring her or him with you? For real, because they care about you, but there's a little bit less, they're a little bit more detached, right? They can be an actual advocate. When you advocate for yourself, there's a different style of passion. But I remember Mama Scoville just being the world's greatest advocate for my dad. Kathy did not like Zoloft, and this is, you know what? Full of hope. There's a lot of that going on around, and this is, pardon me. Full of hope. There's a lot of that going around. And you know what? The connection being the opposite of addiction is an absolute fact. And you know what's sad, people, is that the bigger the boat gets, and the more success we have as a boat. And I mean bringing people in and talking to them about drugs, not getting people sober, because again, we're playing a numbers game, right? I talked to a lot of people, and a lot of them are going to get sober. The vast majority of them are not. That's the way it goes. It's a stone cold fact, right? However, I'm of the belief we can up that number. I really think that. And I don't think it's because, right, of anything that I'm doing here. But I've gotten emails from people, some really lovely, beautifully written emails that just said, I love the experiment of what you're doing. The right eyeshadow is looking a little better. Not every medicine reacts the same with everybody. Thank you, Carrie Berry's mom. This is probably the most important thing that anybody can say about mental health. As when you start talking about medications, I tried all of them. I'm not exaggerating. I tried so many different types of drugs. You got to keep in mind, people, that when I was incarcerated, I got this ridiculous diagnosis about my head. So it messes you up pretty good. And the doctors at the BOP have a great bedside manner, right? And they really just basically told me that my life was over, right? That was a wrap. And it has it required me to spend a lot of time talking to the counselors. And primarily, you don't see psychiatrists, right? They're not going to bring you to a specialist like that because it's not like every yard has a psychiatrist. We have them. We have them in a place called Springfield, and we have them in a place called Kentucky. There's a few places that have an actual doctor psychiatrist. Most of the people we talk to are psychologists, and occasionally just some counselors who are really right who do the heavy lifting, and then they help figure out what drug works for who. And I tried just about all of the big ones, including sertraline. And I'll be honest, this is an adult crowd, right? It worked perfectly for me. Zoloft was a fantastic drug for me for the purpose of staying sober. It also turned off my equipment below the belt. Turned it off. No longer working. And, it's not a big deal where I was at, but it's still a fairly frightening concept. So I went back to the doctor and said, hey, it certainly seems to be helping with the depression, but it's causing something that's going to make me depressed in the long run. And he said, it happens to a lot of people. It's probably not for you. We'll try to get you something else. And I said, well, but I like what it does upstairs. He said, trust me, you're going to stop taking it. So that was my Zoloft experience, but I continued to take things until I got to the one that went, hey, this helps. It doesn't seem to have any real adverse effects. And it definitely does what it oh, there you go. Russ is looking for 7th. What do you got today? It's okay, Tommy. Just tell them I was in the pool. There was shrinkage. No, it's really funny that you say that. Good reference to yeah, that's an excellent reference. I love that episode. The shrinkage episode, classic. Yeah, but it wasn't, it was more along the lines of it just disconnected, and it does really horrific things to to your libido, which again, I think that's probably a really good thing sometimes, like in prison. Probably not such a bad thing to have a low libido. But it also isn't really a part of how my life had been up to that point. And I wanted the medication to just help with the problems. I can't accept 6 side effects, right? Well, you know what? I feel great in the head. I really do. I'm calm. Here's a list of crap that this does to me, right? Nancy Ives. Hey, Nance. Nancy says, haven't been to sleep yet. The ants got me bad last night. You know what? Do you know the number of people who suffer from the afflictions that we suffer from, who are night people, who struggle really, really hard to go to sleep? And that is when the automatic negative thoughts run rampant more than anything else. And I talked about this the other day. You get 70,000 random thoughts a day. Catch that? 70,000. I was told there'd be no math, but I'd be willing to bet that if you divided that up, right, into 24 hours and started to do the math, and then you realize that, a lot of those thoughts are going to be when you're unconscious because your brain still works. We go over this a lot, right? Your brain continues to work. I always say I was born in the right era. Antidepressants and birth control. Can't go wrong with that, Hester. Right? These are the times to be born in. Well, I was born in the right time too, because if I was born even a couple of years later, then I would have been, instead of being a 7 gram a day heroin person, I would have been a 7 gram a day fentanyl person because the heroin is pretty much gone, and that would have killed me. I guarantee you, I would have overdosed at some point. That would have got me. But there you go, 7th, huh? How do you like that? Give you a weird feeling after a while, I promise you. I want to leave that up there until it sinks in. That L word will get to you, man. Seriously, make you feel really weird about yourself. But since I know he's still asleep, the legend, the GOAT, is in the neighborhood, right? For real. The GOAT is back in town. And why are colds bad criminals? Because they're easy to catch. So when you're going through this process of trying to get the right antidepressant, don't write off the entire group of SSRIs or any other form of medication because of one. You understand? There's a reason there's 100 of them, right? Because there's no one size fits all for anything when it comes to mental health. There never is. Everybody's different. I was fascinated. I was talking with somebody who was an expat from the former Scientologist, and we were doing a decent amount of talking about the similarities and the differences. Right? Hold on one second. Oh, thank you. I just got somebody to send me a text and said, "Hey, sleep, remember?" Sorry. This is a reason we call the cat Squirrel. Full of hope. Have a great day. So you got these automatic negative thoughts, 70,000 a day, 50,000 of them, right, are reoccurring. 50,000 are reoccurring. So it's just the same thoughts over and over and over again, right? None of them are good. None of them. So this is what you're doing to the inside of your head, right? All day long. All day long. So picture this, right? Try to put this into a perspective that makes you understand how much you need to work on this, right? Why this is so damn debilitating. Picture me with you all day, right? Forget the fact that the opinion that is being said is your own. Forget that. But I'm with you all day long. And all day long, I just say, you know what? You're really not that good. In fact, you're not good enough. And your mother definitely loved your brother more than she loved you. Seriously. And as far as body goes, you're like 30 pounds overweight, right? Your junk's small, the whole 9 yards. All day long. Never stops. You know what stops it? Pills, booze, right? Drugs, or something else, right? There are religions, cults, meditations that are completely legitimate and fantastic. Prayer, which is completely legitimate and fantastic. There are things that you can do to try to kill those automatic negative thoughts. But the most important thing to remember is if you're having ants laying in bed, get your ass out of bed. Seriously, don't lay there and try to figure it out. Get up, walk out of the room. Go to the other room, stretch, go, what the hell? And come to realize that two things are not going to occupy the same space at the same time. And I hope you hear my voice in your head saying that. Right? There's no way two thoughts are going to be parked on your frontal lobe at the same time. It doesn't work that way. So replace the automatic negative thoughts, right? Automatic and negative. Those are the key words. Automatic and negative. So if you can start doing thoughts that are positive, and they're not automatic, they're manual, right? You have to do this to yourself. So this is why things like daily affirmations are a good thing in the morning. You understand? Why you would look in the mirror and say, you know what? You're not a loser. You're not a loser. In fact, you're good enough. I promise you are. And you're never going back to prison. Right? You feel silly as hell doing this stuff in the mirror. I promise you. You do, especially if you think you're tough or you're a convict or whatever. You start feeling really, really messed up. However, it's my job to manually enter good thoughts into my brain, because with my equipment, especially back then, my brain, I don't think, knew how to generate a positive thought. You spend 30 years addicted to heroin, there's just not a lot of positivity. So, when they said things like, I want you to write out a list of gratitude. And I remember looking at people in the room. Oh, Todd Conley. Hey, Todd, you know what? Here's the deal, brother. If you're telling us the truth, welcome to the lifeboat. And you are in the right spot. And these are addictions like anything else. However, very often the people who come and talk about that are being funny. If you're not, stick around, because we do cover this. In fact, if you go back through, I've done at least 2 videos on that. Absolutely, I have. And it's actually, I'm really glad that even if that was, sex addiction, right? Addiction to masturbation absolutely is a thing, a real thing, right? There are people who spend all day long doing this, and you say, I don't understand how that's possible. Then you never hear anything I say, right? Pay attention, please, to what I'm about to say. The drugs are a friggin' symptom. Okay? So gambling is a symptom. Masturbation is a symptom. All of these things are just covering up what's really going on, right? It's just like, if you have cancer, the symptoms that show that you have a problem, don't necessarily. I knew a guy who went in because he had been doing way too much cocaine, caused himself to pass a little blood. He was snorting tons of it, literally tons of it. Like I was supplying this guy at the time, and it basically saved him. They found colon cancer in this dude, way before it would have been a really bad thing, because the symptom, right, which brought them in, didn't matter whether the symptom was real. It got people looking, and when it got people looking, they found something. So the symptom, good Lord, why can I not say that this morning? I blame squirrel. The symptoms, right, of a much larger problem. Our job, and the reason that we do things like talk to counselors, the reason we do things like journal every freaking day, right? Have a group of 5 people that you're going to communicate with on the regular, so that you're starting to build a positive group of people who can support you through the process of getting sober. But it doesn't matter if it's drugs or any of those other things, because it is addiction. This is our hope to try to cope with the things that we can't. We feel wildly uncomfortable in our own skin. Whatever the hell you're going to figure out that then makes you comfortable in that skin, you're going to become addicted to. I promise. Right? I promise. However, there can be really good things that you get addicted to, right? Diana M., I'm so glad to hear that. Tore my Achilles in May, and you've been on pain pills since May. June, July, August, September. I'd be a little concerned, my brother. To be really honest with you, if you have been taking those pills as directed for the amount of time that you just told me, does not make you a drug addict. Guarantee you it makes you dependent. I know a crap load about pain medication. If there's one drug I know a lot about, it's anything that will take away pain. You are not addicted. Right? You are dependent. Now, there are two different things, and I think that this can be frightening or really confusing. Thank you, Candy's life and a cool thing to say. Says borderline, what? You have found the right place here with us on the lifeboat. Love that. You're just addicted from being on them. I believe you, borderline. I really do. I have worked with so many people that just blow you away. You know, people who come to me and say, I've been addicted to opiates for X period of time or whatever. And it started out on pills and then I went to heroin. I already took my candy corn. I don't have a problem. I can stop whenever I want to. I just don't want to stop until Halloween. I can stop any time I want. So then what happens, borderline, is we get them through the detox period, right? Which is really about 72 hours. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not going to suck for a month, but the actual time to get the drugs out of your system is only 72 hours, right? So I was told there would be no math. Pretty sure that's 3 days, but pretty close to it. So it's not that bad a deal to be dependent. I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the entire world. But when I work with people, and you start getting them through that 72 hours, right? And the person says, "Oh yeah, I got a little bit of back pain and I'm having a hard time sleeping, Tommy. But you know what? Really wasn't all that bad." And I go, "You're kidding?" And they go, "No. I really appreciate your help. I don't think I'm ever going to do that stuff again, though." And I look at them and go, right? Because that's just not how we're built. If that was me, I'd be going like this. You got anything in the house? You know, maybe your medicine chest, you ever keep anything back from like a oral surgery to get your teeth out? Anybody break anything? For real, that's where I'd be. And then I would be out the door to go find it because I was physically dependent on opiates and I was wildly mentally addicted to them. And I still am. That's how it works. Borderline, what? That's how I got hooked. That's how I got hooked. Oxy for 10 years. It's been 1 year since this month. It's been 1 year this month since my last Oxy. Thank God for Suboxone. Big fan of it myself, Kelly Girling. It does amazing things. It really does amazing things. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no such thing as a perfect drug, especially if it's going to be helping people with withdrawal. There's nothing perfect. That's why they say all the really fast talking at the end of all the commercials. This may cause, right? Subutex. Subutex is the same drug. It's just a different configuration, but it is still buprenorphine, right? Which is the active ingredient in Suboxone. Suboxone adds Narcan, right? Naltrexone. I can get a read on that. But you've got for every 8 milligrams of the drug, you're going to get 2 milligrams of Narcan. It's a phenomenally complex drug. It really is. Like very few things out there. Tommy Stroming Scoville, says Tim. Security. Let's get Tim out of here. Suboxone does take withdrawals away. What I think is far more important, right? Because this is a great way to talk about this, right? Borderline. You could take Suboxone to get through any withdrawal sickness, right? And then taper off. And if you say to your doctor, I would like to get off of this stuff permanently, can you? I've heard a lot of good stuff about Suboxone, whatever. For me, that's not what makes that drug amazing. It's good stuff, but I mean, way before anyone was doing that back in the day, if I went in, right, and they didn't have that stuff, they would just give you like 40 milligrams of Valium and knock you unconscious. And then they would wake you up, 8 hours later and give you, you know, a bunch more. And that was what they do. I'm good. I'm on day 31. I can do this. So you're 31 without it. Really excellent point right here, borderline. I'm sorry, I'm on day 3. I can do this. There you go. If you're on day 3, you are almost done. Borderline says, I feel like can't, but better than yesterday. Isn't that the name of a song? Not a country western song. I feel like shit, but better than yesterday. If it's not, somebody should be writing that song as we speak. Hold on, I'm gonna jot that down. Right, that's a hell of a name for a song. If you made it 3 days, the high pot's over. Honestly, if you say today's bad, but yesterday was way worse, then you're through it, right? Because in the beginning stages of withdrawal, you think, oh God, it can't get any worse than this. And then you hit that day. And that day for most of us is 3, right? For heavy opiate users, day 3 without is just, and it makes sense, doesn't it? Right? Because it takes 72 hours for that drug to leave your system. So over the course of that 72 hours, it leaves your system. Well, now we got some withdrawal, right? Because now there's nothing in there. Day 1, day 2, and most of day 3, you still have, pick your drug of choice, but you still have opiates in your system. And it's bleeding out as the half-life of the drug continues to work its magic, and then your body processes this stuff out. Boom, right? That is the concept, people. That is the concept. But if you are really starting to feel good, borderline, then you really do have this now, and this is good stuff. I was putting this off, but you gave me the motivation. Love you, Tommy. Hey, borderline, you made my day. I love it when people say stuff like that. I really do. It's you know what? This is the perfect freaking comment. I'm sorry, it really is. This is the perfect freaking comment because you know what? This is what happens, people. Borderline says, I was putting this off, but you gave me the motivation. Love you all being key. And the you in that is the you. You get into this comment section and you're not listening to one dude up there that dude did it. Everybody in the comment section is saying, I did it or I'm in the process of doing it. If you're lost in a forest and you see footprints, right, that are leading out of that forest, very often you're willing to follow them, right? But if you see 4 people walking out, you're definitely following them, right? You're not going to stay back there. And that's really what has been going on with the lifeboat. We have been encouraging people. And as we encourage people, more people show up for encouragement. Makes the boat get bigger. And then, well, hell, that's just how it goes, right? What is the best way to carve wood? Whittle by whittle. Sound like something Elmer Fudd would say. Or college boy. Elmer Fudd in the house. This boat is part of why I wake up in the morning. Thanks, Scoob. You know what? Sometimes this boat is the only reason I wake up in the morning, but it's definitely a big part of it. Good one. My favorite thing about Suboxone has nothing to do with withdrawal. Isn't that funny? My favorite thing about Suboxone is what it does to eliminate permanently cravings, right? Damn straight, he's wascally. So I was clean. 5 years clean. Hadn't done a shot of dope, smoked it, done anything. Had no opiates in my body in any way, shape, or form in 5 years. And I was miserable. I was trying. I was faking it till I made it, right? I was living as if. I was doing meetings. I was really trying to get it done. But my automatic negative thoughts went like this. I don't know why you're doing this. This is stupid. Whether it's 5 years or 15 years or 30 years, you're going to end up dead with a needle in your arm. What difference does it make? Right? You may as well do it now and not waste all the time. How many times have you tried this? Seriously, you know this stuff's got your number. You're going to do more of it. So you're just doing this what now? What? Spinning your wheels? Is this even for you? Are you doing this for somebody else? What in the hell is wrong with you, Tommy? And I'm talking about nonstop, 50,000 times a day. And you say, well, how do you beat that? I don't know. But I can tell you how you don't beat it. You don't beat it alone. You don't. This isn't one of those games that you play successfully alone. You need a lot of help. Fortunately, there's something about getting sober that makes people, even people you would never think, hey, Smitty, even people that you would never think, it makes them want to help other people, especially addicts. And it's why it continues to go. What do they do for alcohol addiction? My son thinks they will give him benzos. He's absolutely right. Serenity now. Awesome, Jeremy. Awesome. Good reference. I was talking about you the other day, Jeremy. How about that? No lie. I'm trying to remember who I was talking to now, but I was talking about you. We were talking about Saturday Night Boat and doing some trivia, and we had kicked around the idea because when Heather Joy used to do it, she would write up some questions from Seinfeld, and I said, Jeremy Sheldon will get on there and just run laps around everybody. I don't know that we can do that. Excuse me, people. It does go really fast. I'm trying to see what I missed here. Yeah, I know it's dead air. So you know what I'm talking about. That dead air thing that you're so freaked out and worried about. Listen. And nobody died. Can you believe that? Man, you can walk out of the room, man. Seriously, people would rather wait 30 seconds. If you're engaged in any way, yeah, go get it. Don't worry about it. We're going to sit and wait here. You would do that in real life, right? Come on, people. No, there really are a lot of people that as soon as that puppy starts going, and you hear the crickets, they get this feeling like really uncomfortable in their own skin, right? And this happens in the real world too. Do you ever meet one of those people that never, ever stops talking? And I know you're going, yeah, Tommy, you're that dude. However, you show up to hear me talk, right? So I got to be talking nonstop. But that's a coping mechanism for a lot of people. And you know what? If you say to those people, especially when they're kids, hey, we don't talk that much, man, they're developing a coping mechanism, right? A good one. There's nothing wrong with a little bit too much talking, right? It's never going to kill anybody. Certainly not going to take you off the planet or get you ending up in prison. In fact, it can usually lead you to a fairly decent job in Washington, D.C., okay? Ripping off the American people for big cash. Really good speakers tend to do that for a living. And before any of you get angry, they do that on both sides of the alley. They all suck. I have a problem, and the problem is me. I am now on Suboxone, 8-2-2 strips, sublingual daily. Feel like a real person. Thanks for the advice, Captain. You're on Suboxone, Jonesy? Man, that's cool. Man, that's cool. Jonesy, for saying out loud, I have a problem. You're now on Suboxone, taking 8 milligram strips, and that's with 2 milligrams of naloxone in each. And he's taking those sublingually daily. I feel like a real person. To all of you people who want to say how bad it is to trade one addiction for another and how everybody on Suboxone is just still a junkie and all of that stuff, why don't you read that? For real. What it feels like to feel like a real person. Pretty good stuff. That's exactly what it did for me. After 5 years of being sober with my knuckles as white as they could possibly be. And I'll tell you something, people. I'd have kept doing it. I mean, I would have tried as hard as I could. I'd have been white knuckling it till I eventually caved in or whatever. But I mean, I made it 5 years. I was ready to continue. And then a woman from the BOP said, man, I looked at your file. God almighty, why are you not on Suboxone? And I said, well, that would have been nice 5 years ago. And she said, what do you mean? I said, I haven't done anything in 5 years. And she said, well, do you have any cravings? I'm like, do I have any cravings for heroin? Yeah, oddly enough, I do. Can you describe them? Yeah. About the time I wake up in the morning, they start. And about the time I go to bed, they're still there. Right? That really was my life. Now, I learned how to walk out of the room I was in, get into another room, drop on the floor, do push-ups. I had so many different ways to try to stop that negative thought telling me to just go do dope. And then I tried this crap. Now, make no mistake, I had done Suboxone probably 50 times by then. But when I did Suboxone, it was because I was a heroin addict who was doing 7 grams a day or whatever. And all of a sudden we couldn't get anything, or the guy got busted or whatever. And there'd always be one person be like, don't trip, I got you. I'll give you a strip of Suboxone. And at least, you're going to be okay until the guy reopens, because they'll reopen the next day, even if they get busted, right? They're good at it. And I hated it. Well, of course I hated it. It doesn't get you high. When you hear people who say, oh, I tried that stuff and I didn't like it. Of course you didn't. It doesn't get you high. Drug addicts hate things that don't get you high. For real. Some of them even seek out partners who give them that same kind of a high. And I'll tell you something, I don't think there's much wrong with that. I really don't. It's a beautiful thing if you can find it. I have a feeling that's probably what a soulmate feels like, if by some chance you're able to bump into that person. If by chance that person even exists, or if that's a real thing. I think that's different for everybody. Personally, sadly, I really do believe that that's out there. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. You used to be a benzo addict before my daughter was born. I got clean and I was going cold turkey and ended up having seizures. But I did it for her so that she never had to suffer. It was hard. Good for you, brother. I mean, don't quit benzos without talking to a doctor. Don't quit them cold turkey. That's a stupid thing to do. I got a lot of respect for you doing it, by the way. But it is a stupid thing to do. You got to have a doctor to help you through that, right? Don't do that. Excellent job, Borderline. Good stuff. Really good stuff. But don't do that. Talk to your doctor, all right? Please. Now, Borderline, I'm just going to shoot straight with you, right? This is just one drug addict to another. And if I didn't say this before I got off the boat, then I'm not being me. And sadly, I kind of promised myself that I would be me. This whole honesty thing and all of that. You said you used to be a benzo addict, right? If you're a benzo addict and you've been taking pain medication every day for 3 months, there's an excellent chance that you're not just dependent, you're addicted. It's not 100% rule. It's not, but it's about 97, right? If you have already been addicted to something like a benzodiazepine or a painkiller, and then you start to abuse the one you hadn't been doing, 99 out of 100 times you're going to catch an addiction to that puppy, because the drug is a symptom. If you had been addicted to benzos at one time in your life, it was to take something away. It was to make you comfortable in your own skin. And we do that by taking away what? Well, it depends, doesn't it? I mean, you can take away feelings of inadequacy. You can take away the thoughts of a really bad upbringing. You can do all of that stuff, right? Hold on. Well, here's the point I'm making, Borderline, is that very often, thank you, Smitty. Great comment. He says, yes, benzos can kill you cold turkey. I had 3 seizures from quitting alcohol cold turkey, which is the same activate the same part of the brain. Exactly. That's why they give you benzos. Come here, squirrel. That's why they give you benzos, to take you off the alcohol, because it does do the exact same thing on the brain. And if you happen to see ZW, I just looked up and it was 44 minutes and 44 seconds. Just happened to catch that. That happens to a lot of people, but it seems to happen to her a lot. I asked about when the weaning process would happen. And the doctor laughed at me and said, let's take it as it comes. I have successfully weaned myself all the way off about 3 times since I started. And now I'm just not going to do that ever again. Right? It takes away the cravings. When I stop taking it, the cravings come back. And I would rather have one hand than be addicted to drugs. Right? I'd rather have no hands than be addicted to drugs. So I promise you, I'd rather take a half a milligram of buprenorphine every day to ensure that I don't get any kind of cravings ever again. Borderline, that takes guts. That really does. You know, one of the worst things in the world to do is to say something like what I just said, because it's really something that I'd be so much happier to say to you, privately. But when the conversation is already in, if you come into the comment section and you say, I've been smoking cocaine every day for 5 years, and then you and I start talking about smoking crack, okay, that's not really confidentiality stuff, right? Because we're here and we're kind of doing it. But normally, I don't like saying things like, if you were addicted to this in the past, trust me, you're addicted to this now. It's just how it works, right? I don't like saying that to people unless we've been working with each other for a long time. I don't want to send somebody away from the boat feeling really super bummed out, but I also don't want to BS anybody. And the drugs, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's coke or heroin. It's doing the same thing, right? One's taking you straight up, one's taking you down, one's taking you sideways, one's removing the pain. No, they're all making it so you can cope with life. We can't cope with life. Some people go to religion. Some people go to drugs. Some people go to their body, right? Cranking out some push-ups, bodybuilders. If you've ever met a competition bodybuilder, like the guys that do this for competitions like Mr. Olympia and all that stuff, you want to find some cats that are addicted, go take a look at how those people live. Trust me, that's an addiction. Now, I'd rather see people doing that than a lot of other addictions, but I'll be honest with you, those cats aren't living very long. You know what I mean? The stuff, what they do to their body in order to be able to compete. Like you see those Mr. Olympians and you can see every vein and they're just completely rippled and they got pecs out to here. And you know what they look like when they're not competing? They don't look anything like that. They don't. I knew a cat. I was really good friends with a cat that was a competition bodybuilder. And when he was not like getting ready to go and pose and be in a competition or whatever, he walked around at about 320 pounds and did not look like an athlete. I mean, he just was, but he would get back in the gym. And it did not take long. He would get back in the gym and the muscle memory would get him back. And then he'd begin the process of starving himself and using drugs like Winstrol, which is a anabolic, I think, steroid. Might be anabolic. Anyway, what it does is it cuts. It makes more defined, right? So it cuts around the muscles, right? But most of those cats are beating the pain out of their body. The new thing, and I shouldn't say new because it's probably been going on forever, but you see, I had this really long vacation, right? Which sucked. I've been on Suboxone a long time. People can judge. I don't want to have to take it, but it's returned me to a normal, bill-paying, good mother life. Pooh Bear, you rock. You rock. Man, you freaking rock. What a great comment. I don't want to take this. I don't want to take this. But I went from a bank robber to a guy who sits on YouTube trying to tell people how to get sober. Which drug would you rather have me taking? I think I'll stick with the half a milligram of Suboxone a day. And if you're listening to me and you're just starting out on your Suboxone journey, right? I promise you, one of the weirdest effects is that I started out same way, right? 16 milligrams, 2 8 milligram films a day, sublingually or buccal or whatever. That's what I started out with. And then I continually cut down and cut down and cut down. And now that I'm down to where I'm doing like half a milligram a day, somebody that I care about a lot just said to me, why would you quit? Who are you quitting for? Does it bother you that you're on the half? And I go, no, I guess it just kind of pisses me off that it's still a drug, or, I'd like to just have that completely out of my system, all the way. It just, might be a little bit better. And the person said, for you, do you think it would be better for all the people you talk to about Suboxone too? And I said, I don't know that matters much. And I still think about it, but I don't know that I'm ever going to get off that. I've tried and cravings come back. And you know what, people? I know I don't do very good with cravings. I don't. I cave in, at least for that type of craving. I cave in. So I eliminated them, and now it's enabled me to do so many fantastic things. I'm living the life that I want to live. People, this show is going to start getting. I'm going to start probably firing this at about 5 minutes till, right? Jonesy, the insurance paid for Roxy's, which is just another like Oxycontin, but it's the Roxy, for 15 years, no problem, but raised hell about the Suboxone. Go figure. I've been through the same thing. And you look at the pharmacist and you just go, you don't have a problem giving me duffel bags full of narcotics that can kill me. I come in to get one that can, that can turn my life around. And my insurance will only buy name brand you. So I said, give me the generic. Charge me for the name brand. Like, what do I care? Throw in the box of generic. Say you were charging for the. I don't care. The insurance company doesn't care. They're willing to pay the full amount. Let them pay the full amount. Now, give me that stuff, or I'm going to get sick. Nah, just go home and get sick. Okay. I mean, that was my weekend. What, about a month ago, right, people? Some of you. But many times I've tapered all the way off of Suboxone, and I'll be good for a week, or I'll be good for 3 days, or whatever. But then that craving comes back, and it's not automatic negative thoughts. Two different things. Automatic negative thoughts are just that. They're thoughts that you can almost hear. Like, when you're sitting in something, you're alone in traffic and somebody cuts you off, and you're having that conversation with yourself. My God, that was close. Oh, moly. God, I didn't hit that car. But you're not, none of that's vocal. Okay, automatic negative thoughts are just talking to yourself, right? Your brain talking to yourself without the ability to control or stop it. Cravings, I could be putting the greatest thought in the world in my head. I could sit and concentrate on a picture of my daughter. I could meditate. I could think about a girl I got a crush on, right? Any of those things. So I've got a thought right there in my brain. My body, however, is literally craving the drug again. So how many injuries have you had in your life? Probably a couple, right? What if you had 5 Achilles tendon surgeries, or 8 shoulder surgeries, or 13 knee surgeries, right? If you start going through broken bones, let's say you broke a lot of them, right? Neck, back, crazy bones, right? Your body's just going to piss you off on all of those pains. And then you at that moment, you go, oh, God, pain meds would take that away. And the second, now the craving starts, and it will go almost, it's a very difficult thing for me. And I tell people how to stop cravings, and they always say, yeah, you know what, works too. 5 minutes, nothing to it. Yeah, I can't do it personally. I can tell you about it. I can tell you how to do it. I've never been worth the far to doing it myself. Not built that way, I guess. I'm starting to learn a great deal about the fact that some of just are not built the same way. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It really isn't. The whole diversity thing, I think you might groove to it if you give it a chance. And I assure you, you know what? You never know where you're going to be tomorrow. You never know where you're going to be the day after. Something wrong with the world today. I don't know what it is. Diane M says, people who talk about us aren't paying our bills, raising our kids, living in our skin, and have no say in our recovery. God bless you, Diane. Don't let anybody ever mess with that. Don't let them mess with your sobriety, your serenity. Don't step on your eye. None of that crap, right? Don't. I love the no's capitalized. I really do. Yeah. They have no say in my recovery. No one. Boy, when I first started the boat and I said, I'm going through the drugs that I'm on. I'm like, and thank God, I take Suboxone, which, good Lord. The guys on the boat will tell you it was a month and a half of people just leaving comments. You're still a drug addict, blah, blah, blah. Taking a lot of joy in it, really going after me. And the truth of the matter is they still do. It's just now we're big enough that you don't see it. I mean, honestly, that's the truth. You get up above 10,000 people and crappy comments just seem to blend in a little bit more, but when you are when you got about 10 people, 15 people who are on a live feed, boy, they stick out like Wednesday in the middle of the week, don't they? Or if you get 3 comments left after a video, if one of them's crappy, I think that's what, 33%? Yeah, help me out here. All right. You know what's crazy, people? I've got a guest here. And I was thinking to myself when I started this, I really do want to get back to my guest, right? It's only, it's just socially acceptable. But I also don't want to wake anybody up. So, but I was going to do a quick one, and then I haven't been on the boat lately. And once I started talking, I figured, what the hell? We made it almost an entire hour, people. And the best part of that is, you know how this is going to end, don't you? Monetized. What? 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 Well done, Liz Ferris. Good for you. Fantastic. How's that? You don't get to do this very often to sober people, right? Normally normally we don't get to do this for something that has nothing to do necessarily with sobriety. Good for you, Liz, for monetizing. People, if you've ever built one of these channels, it's hard. It's a difficult thing to do. It really is. Getting 4,000 hours of watch time and 1,000 subscribers, and doing it, by the way, in a metered period of time. Right? You get to 12 months and you haven't done your 4,000. Well, you got to do 4,000 hours within a 12-month range. So you're starting all over again. It's a frightening thing. And a lot of people really, really struggle for long, long times to get it done. Liz, proud of you. If you've never gone over and checked out her content, Liz is a thinker. And in fact, she did one yesterday on she did one yesterday that talked about how to love somebody. And it was really how to love someone who has been injured, specifically in specific ways. And those ways could be, doesn't matter. In other words, whether you're a drug addict, whether you're someone who is leaving a very controlling relationship or a cult or anything that we were using to try to feel comfortable in our own skin, or we got forced into, or whatever. But it doesn't matter. Very much like the lifeboat can kind of speak to a lot of different people. Well, I was listening to Liz yesterday, and I swear to God, I felt like the message was for me, like me alone. And anytime that happens with anybody, that's a good thing, right? I used to joke all the time about that in church. If you're thinking to yourself, I swear to God, the pastor's on to me, right? Like this guy knows what I'm doing on weekends. Then he's probably doing a good job. And there's an excellent chance that everybody in the room is saying the exact same thing. Right? I get emails every once in a while where someone will say, dude, I swear to you, that last show you did, man, that was all about me. Every single show that we do is probably all about every single one of us. It's just that some days you hear something that clicks, but we're all the same people, right? We're all in this boat together, or so they say. Yeah, big congratulations, Liz. Awesome. That is so damn cool. Liz Ferris is my hero. I don't blame you. Pokemon and cults. There you go. There's the name of her channel. What's the difference between an alligator and a crocodile? One you'll see later, and the other you'll see in a while. It's not such a bad joke, Seven. That is not such a bad joke. All right, everyone. That's the news. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. And this thing right here, that is a cat in a basket. What do you say, kitty? All right. Oh, she's mad at me now. I woke her up. See you on the next one, people. And here's to hoping that on the next one, I'm not eating something really disgusting or vomiting. Because the boys are back in town. All bad.